It may have escaped your attention, Chief, but this is your last oral argument. And your colleagues request your indulgence to allow us to make a few brief remarks in recognition of that reality. May we proceed?
Briefly, yes.
Okay then. So, Chief, much has been said in recent days about your remarkable leadership of the branch. You took the reins in a time of division. There was a budgetary crisis, internal conflict, and external skepticism, to say the least. You met all those titanic challenges as a brand new Chief Justice with grace and grit, with wisdom, patience, and genuine and consistent good humor, whether you intended that or not. Judges up and down the state got to know you and depend on you as to lead us as responsible stewards of the public trust. And it is not an overstatement to say that you stabilized and then rejuvenated the entire third branch of government. Now, today, we're changing our focus just a little to talk about your role, not for the whole judicial branch, but for our little enterprise called the California Supreme Court. Now, here again, you took on a number of responsibilities of administration, the budget and personnel and relationships with sister branches of government, oversight of the bar. But here, in-house, you have consistently been the hub of the wheel to make sure that the court hums along in harmony, doing its work. Now, as Chief Justice, you also became the human face of justice in California. You took brave stands to emphasize that the law serves all who live here, that everyone has a right to feel safe and unmolested when they come to our courtrooms, and that abstract justice is elusive for anyone who doesn't have access to it. That was a pretty gutsy thing to do. In your commitment to civics education, you acted with vision and energized a whole body of educators and other people committed to the notion of civic education to make sure that the next generation of leaders understands and appreciates the essential role of a fair, trusted, and accessible system of justice in a free society. And with your own success, you have shown that next generation that they can dream and achieve, that they can take their place in places of positions of leadership and authority, and that they should aspire to do so. And in addition to all of that, you have been an integral part of the core function of this court, crafting opinions that clarify the law, guiding its development with care and fidelity, and setting precedent in the most challenging and complex legal questions facing California. And you bravely often took the toughest cases of all for yourself. In approaching those cases, you have drawn on your experience as a trial lawyer, a trial judge, and an appellate justice. You've drawn on your well-honed understanding for how things actually operate in the courtroom, in the crucible of the courtroom, how things really work, and how we can and when we must make sure that they work better. You've crafted opinions that guide judges and lawyers with rules that are practical, understandable, and just. You've done all that in all the cases that you have authored, but also in the opinions of each of us by providing your insights that have helped make all our opinions better. And you have masterfully helped us find middle ground often when we didn't all start out that way. Your ability to forge consensus is one of the greatest contributions you have made, not only to this court, but to the courts statewide. As they say, Chief, litera scripta manet, the written word endures. Your opinions will endure as a key part of your legacy guiding the law of California for decades to come. Your legacy is secure. Now, that's not a bad body of work so far, and there's still more stuff just on the horizon in your new and exciting position. So, Chief Tani, it has been a privilege and a pleasure to work with you, to learn from you, and to get to know you as a colleague and as a friend. Thank you for your amazing, tireless, incredibly tireless leadership. Best wishes to you and Mark and your girls as you all set off on this new phase of your adventure and accomplishment. May it be filled with every blessing and many surprises. Chief, we'll surely miss you, but we will never forget you and your inspiration. Don't cry.
I'm trying not to.
Okay, good. And now I yield the floor.
Thank you, Carol.
Well, this is not your favorite activity, but you're going to have to just sit here and take it for a little while. It's my privilege to say a few words about our Chief Justice, Tani Cantil-Sakuye, who I've had the honor to serve with for more than 11 years. I've always had a special fondness for the Chief, not only because we are both from Sacramento, not only because we have some shared experiences as Asian Americans, but also because we have the same birthday, just a few years apart. One never knows whether such coincidences are actually cosmic connections, but in this case, I can say how supremely lucky I have been to have Tani as my birthday twin. To say Tani is a role model is kind of like saying Gandhi had a little bit of virtue. The Chief is smart, she's modest, hardworking, honest, ethical, and fair. She is also careful, savvy, always 3 steps ahead. And as anyone who has sat in this courtroom knows, she is warm, welcoming, and unflappable. In more than a decade of working together, I have never seen Tani lose her cool. There have been many apt summaries of the Chief's accomplishments, and there will be many more, so I will not go there, except to say that for many of us, it's hard enough to keep up with the cases on our docket without spending an additional 40 hours a week running a $5 billion judiciary. I don't know how you do it, Chief, but thank you for making us look like slackers. But seriously, it cannot be underscored enough how important and often thankless your contributions to our system of government have been. Every judge in California, all 1,700 plus on our superior courts, the courts of appeal, and the Supreme Court, every judge has benefited from your tireless advocacy on behalf of a fair, impartial, and adequately resourced judiciary. Through budget crises, governance challenges, and a global pandemic, you have done a lot of difficult work to make our work less difficult, and the people of California have been the ultimate beneficiaries. From beginning to end, you've done tremendous public service. I want to close with a vignette that, for me, captures our Chief Justice so well. So every year, the Chief is invited to address our legislature with a speech on the state of the judiciary. Every year, the Chief has shown up to give this speech with no notes, no teleprompter, no written text of any kind. And every year, she has spoken flawlessly and cogently in full paragraphs and quotable phrases with facts, figures, and ideas lucidly explained in plain English. And every year, I love seeing the look of awe on the faces of the elected officials in the chamber who do a lot of public speaking, but not quite like that. But then something else happens. After the speech ends and the electeds are all suitably impressed, they not only want to shake her hand, they want to take selfies with her. It often starts with the women legislators, and then other officials join in, and the Chief obliges all of this with warmth and humility, and they are just beaming with smiles from ear to ear. They could not be more proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Chief Justice of California. And it just shows how much, Tani, you are not only respected, but genuinely admired. You are leaving big shoes to fill, and we're lucky to have Justice Guerrero as your successor. I know you and all of us will do everything we can to support our next chief. But I'm going to miss you. As a colleague, as a friend, as an everyday mentor that you might not be aware you are to me. I hope your daughters are watching, and I'm so glad your husband, Mark, is here to witness this important milestone in your life and in the life of this court. So for your tireless work, your careful judgment, and your dedication to the rule of law, the people of California and its judiciary are forever indebted to you.
Thank you, Goodwin.
So as the next in line, I will take the privilege of saying just a couple of words. It feels like only yesterday that we found out that you were planning on stepping down from your position. It was at the end of a regular Wednesday conference, and I remember distinctly that the reaction was one of complete silence, except for one very loud groan. There aren't very many moments in life when any group of lawyers, but including this one, finds itself at a loss for words. But it's also not often that we're called on to mark in words the service of a person for whom words are hardly adequate to the task. This is one of those moments. Ever since you joined the bench, but especially during the more than a decade that you've spent as our Chief Justice, you've meant so many things to so many people. You have been, of course, a visionary leader of California's judicial branch, who boldly led the branch through substantial challenges and tireless efforts to ensure equal justice and access to justice for every Californian. Inside this court, too, you have been a remarkable, courageous, and compassionate leader who has seen the court through a period of change, adaptation, and unforeseen challenges. And for those of us who have gotten to serve with you on this bench and have gotten to sit around the conference table with you after argument to discuss cases, we've all benefited enormously from your wisdom, to your clear commitment to getting things right, and perhaps most of all, from your sense of collegiality and collaboration that's been the hallmark of your service, the idea that we do our best work when we work together. Words are, in the end, inadequate to express the admiration and appreciation that I have for you, and what a privilege and honor it has been to share the bench with such a remarkable jurist, such a remarkable person. I, along with all Californians, owe a deep gratitude to you for your service and your tireless and unwavering dedication to making all of us better.
Thank you, Leandra.
Chief, I want to start by reading portions of a letter you wrote in 2017 in response to immigration raids that were being conducted in California courthouses. Dear Attorney General Sessions and Secretary Kelly, as Chief Justice of California, responsible for the safe and fair delivery of justice in our state, I am deeply concerned about reports from some of our trial courts that immigration agents appear to be stalking undocumented immigrants in our courthouses to make arrests. Our courthouses serve as a vital forum for ensuring access to justice and protecting public safety. Courthouses should not be used as bait in the necessary enforcement of our country's immigration laws. Crime victims, victims of sexual abuse and domestic violence, witnesses to crimes who are aiding law enforcement, limited English speakers, unrepresented litigants, and children and families all come to our courts seeking justice and due process of law. As finders of fact, trial courts strive to mitigate fears, to ensure fairness, and protect legal rights. Our work is critical for ensuring public safety and the efficient administration of justice. Enforcement policies that include stalking courthouses and arresting undocumented immigrants, the vast majority of whom pose no risk to public safety, are neither safe nor fair. They not only compromise our core value of fairness, but they undermine the judiciary's ability to provide equal access to justice. I respectfully request that you refrain from this sort of enforcement in California's courthouses. This letter to me represents the very essence of who you are. The letter was courageous. Many other jurists around the country remained silent. It was not aimed at currying favor or winning a popularity contest. Indeed, I'm sure there are many who disagreed with you. It is elegantly stated, forceful but also restrained, pointed but not hyperbolic. It showed an ability to see the big picture, a recognition that the policy at issue might have broader implications beyond just the immigration context, but also for victims of crime, witnesses to crimes who are aiding law enforcement, and for children and families. And the letter was motivated by a deep sense of justice, a desire to protect the powerless, and a dogged focus on ensuring access to justice, all of which have been touchstones of your entire career. And it is this steady hand, fueled by courage and fidelity to justice under the law, and fortified by impeccable judgment, unflappable calm, and public speaking skills second to none, that have helped steer our court through many challenges. Had you merely led us through the greatest economic downturn in the last 100 years, that would have been enough. But you also guided us through the greatest public health crisis in the last 100 years as well. And you somehow always did it with a smile and with a total sense of calm. You are one of the most remarkable people I have known, and I and the court and California are made so much better by your contributions to the state and to the court. In Jewish tradition, after completing a portion of study from the Talmud, you say a hadron, which is a praise of thanks. Hadron is ancient Aramaic, and it translates as, "we will return." And the reason for that phrasing is that in recognition of the fact that you've been engaging with this text and enriched by this text that you've been studying, it's not appropriate to say goodbye when you are done. Instead, it's better to give thanks and recognize the impact of the text and recognize that it'll always be with you and that you will return again and again to the passage for further enrichment and to gain counsel from the lessons taught. You don't say goodbye because the impact of having experienced it is always with you. Chief, I know all of us feel the same way about you and your impact on us and on the court. So in the spirit of the ancient Hebrews, I don't say goodbye, but instead, we will return.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you.
So like my colleague, Chief, I'd like to offer my sincere thanks to you for 32 years of extraordinary service to the state of California, the last 12 of which have been as our Chief Justice. Some 12 years ago, I attended your confirmation hearing just after you were nominated to the position that you now hold, a hearing that was held in this very courtroom, the very courtroom where you've just presided over your last oral argument. I recall very much listening to the way in which you were going to address the problems the branch faced at that time, and they've been alluded to already. We were in fiscal shambles at that time. That was one of the many myriad problems that you confronted. And we listened eagerly, all of us, as to how you planned to address those questions. And you did so. You did it with humor, with intellect, with heart, with deep caring and deep compassion. Your service dawned at a particularly difficult time in the California judiciary. And I know for a fact, not having been a member of this court, but having been a more than casual observer of the work of this court as an appellate justice, the morale, the increase in morale that your good work, along with the council, occasioned in setting this court back on firm financial footing, the initiatives that you launched with respect to civic engagement and understanding the role of the branch in our coordinated branches of government, that we now see the importance of that initiative as so many of our institutions, public institutions, are being called into question. respect to credibility. And the language access initiative that you launched, which has yielded much good fruit and made sure that the promise of equal protection for all is realized by all. I want you to know that on a personal level, it's particularly difficult for me to say goodbye. What many don't know is that you have been my personal confidant, in addition to a professional one. And I cite in Maine the conversations we had about my decision to leave the judiciary and become the governor's appointment secretary, and the conversation we had in terms of my coming back, and some of the concerns and doubt I had about that. And you have been my champion like no other. So I know now you will ride off to new pursuits and that you will do great, great work in your new endeavor. My wish for you is that you have time for reflection that you have not had, time for your family, Mark and the girls, which has been in short order over the last 12 years, and time to pursue interests that you have outside of the law. For time, as we know, is so, so fleeting and so, so important. And that is my wish for you. Maya Angelou always talks about legacy. And she says one's legacy really is bound up in how one treats people, because people never forget how you made them feel. And I will say to you that 1,500 judges strong, you have made them all feel like they have a personal relationship with you. You have made them feel better. You have empowered them. And for that, a simple thank you seems so trite, but it is heartfelt. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Marty.
Chief, I would like to add my expression of gratitude for all that you have done, and I concur in all of my colleagues' remarks as well. Thank you for your strong and your visionary leadership of the courts, your resilience, your courage, your grace, humility, and your mentorship. You have built a judicial branch that is independent, impartial, and importantly, collaborative, one that reflects the diverse viewpoints of all our courts and protects the rights of all Californians. And most significantly, you have focused throughout your career on equal and fair access to justice, recognizing through your own family's experiences how important it is to provide both justice and dignity for people when they come to court seeking to protect their rights. And you have done all of this through extraordinary circumstances, as we've heard, and with energy that was the same on day one as it is now. It's really remarkable and a privilege to witness it. We have said many things to express our gratitude here today, but I don't think words can fully capture our debt of gratitude to you. And although there are 6 of us speaking here today, I'm confident that we speak on behalf of countless others across the state who have been positively impacted by your tireless work on their behalf. I would like to thank you for your sacrifices and those of your family, and for your unwavering commitment to public service. We wish you the best in the next stage of your life, and we look forward to your future accomplishments. We will miss you dearly, and you will never be forgotten.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you. I think that there are not words to describe how I feel about all of you and your staffs and the staff here at the Supreme Court and Jorge and my staff family. It is an understatement to say how privileged I feel to have gotten to know all of you. We came together as strangers to work on the thorniest legal challenges in California. And every time we come together, it is a gift of fellowship. It is a pleasure of collegiality. And it is the richest legal environment to be with all of you individually and the backgrounds that you bring and share and focus, not only of your professional backgrounds, but your life backgrounds and your perspectives, all given incisively and with humor that has really grown me as a person. For as big as the California judiciary is and all of our challenges, it is this bench, it is all of you, it is this court that is the engine, the power, and the refuge to take on all of the challenges of the branch. To always come back to this core, to all of you, is the place of sanity and reason and honor and compassion and vision. That's each and every one of you. All of you bring that around the table in our calls, in our meetings, and it is a shared value, it is a shared core of all of you. And if I couldn't pick finer people to be around, let alone have the privilege of exchanging information and working with. And so I have been blessed. I have been blessed. You are the motor, you are the engine, you are all what makes this branch's heart beat by your accomplishments, your outreach to the community. And it's been a privilege, and it just isn't enough to say it's been a privilege. It's been a blessing. It's gratitude of a deep well to have served with you. And it is the hardest part of leaving is to leave you. It is the hardest part. But Josh, it's farewell, it's the return, it's always, you know, I'm your biggest fan and cheerleader, and I can empathize with what is going through your head at any one time, having known you so well. California is blessed. California is gifted to have you. There's a reason California leads. It's because of you, all of you, and the wonderful people you've selected for your staff, and some of my staff are here, and Jorge Navarrete and his crew, the lawyers who bring us the most intricate arguments, the kinds of issues we face today in the 4 cases before the court. It's California is well suited going forward, and having Justice Guerrero, the Chief Justice-elect, is a wonderful strength that's only going to continue and build on momentum with Trish at the helm, knowing full well the excellence she has brought to her professional lives as a civil lawyer, as a trial court judge, as an appellate justice, and as the new chief. And with the support of all of you, let me just say, it is a winning formula. Just listen, learn, and you can't go wrong with 6 other brilliant people happy to share and to give and are so generous. Thank you all for this deep kindness and for the thrill of a lifetime. Thank you. We're adjourned.